Hello, friends, and welcome to the first in a series of short Bible studies unpacking the events of Holy Week, the last week of Jesus' life leading up to his crucifixion and resurrection. We begin today with Selection Sunday. The Gospel of Matthew tells it this way. When they had come near Jerusalem and had reached Bethphage on the Mount of Olives, Jesus sent 2 disciples, saying to them, "Go into the village ahead of you, and immediately you will find a donkey tied and a colt with her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, just say this, 'The Lord needs them,' and he will send them immediately." This took place to fulfill what had been spoken through the prophet, saying, "Tell the daughter of Zion, look, your king is coming to you, humble and mounted on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey." The disciples went and did as Jesus had directed them. They brought the donkey and the colt and put their cloaks on them, and he sat on them. A very large crowd spread their cloaks on the road, and others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. The crowds that went ahead of him and that followed were shouting, "Hosanna to the Son of David! Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord! Hosanna in the highest heaven!" When he entered Jerusalem, the whole city was in turmoil, asking, "Who is this?" The crowds were saying, "This is the prophet Jesus from Nazareth in Galilee." Jesus chose a very significant day to ride into Jerusalem the way he did. You see, it was nearing the time of the Passover, the time when all of the Jewish people would celebrate their holiest of holy days, the day that they celebrate and remember that God delivered the children of Israel from slavery in Egypt. Jesus and his disciples had come to Jerusalem to celebrate this event. Exodus 12 instructs the Jewish people that they were to celebrate the Passover on the 14th day of the first month. In the Jewish understanding, the day began at sundown on the day before. So the week that Jesus died, Passover fell on what we would call Friday, but it actually began at sundown on Thursday. This is where we see Jesus gather with his disciples to celebrate what we call the Last Supper. This would have been the family Passover meal. Exodus also instructs that on the 10th day, all the people were to select a lamb for their family sacrifice. This is the lamb that they would sacrifice on the 13th in order to consume together in the Passover meal at sundown on the 14th day. So this 10th day became known as Lamb Selection Day. During this particular week, if Passover fell at sundown on Thursday, if you backtrack the 4 days to the 10th day, you find that it was sundown on Sunday. So this Sunday literally became Lamb Selection Sunday. The historian Josephus estimated that somewhere near 3 million people would have been streaming into Jerusalem at this time to select a lamb. This is the day that Jesus chose to ride into Jerusalem. He chose this day, Lamb Selection Day, right before the beginning of the Passover, when millions of people are streaming into Jerusalem, millions of people thinking about our God is a God who delivers us from the oppressor, millions of people being reminded as they look around that they're still being oppressed by Rome, a time when they were thinking about the prophecies they had heard, like Isaiah, who told them that the Messiah would come riding in from the east to the west. Like the prophecies from Zechariah that told them of how the Messiah would come riding in on the colt, the foal of a donkey. Many of them were probably wondering, might this be the year? Might this be the time that the Messiah finally comes and sets us free from the Romans? Into this time, thick with religious implications and political tension, Jesus chose to ride in from the east, from Bethphage, a Sabbath day's journey from the temple, riding on the colt, the foal of a donkey, saying in a very clear and Jewish way, "I am the Messiah you have waited for." But more than that, the day Jesus chose to ride in is so significant and so powerful. It was Lamb Selection Day, the day that all of Israel is gathered to select their lamb for the Passover sacrifice. Jesus chose this day to ride in, to say in such a powerful way, "I am the Passover lamb. Choose me."